Manchester United in talks with Chelsea over £25 million deal for Trevoh Chalobah. De Ligt to United now looking unlikely, with Manchester United not willing to meet Bayern's demands. And Mazraoui deal on, with Erik ten Hag believing that he is the key to unlocking Antony. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on this episode. Let's try and see 1,000 likes today. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. So if you want to keep up to date with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk, this is the best way to do it. Currently, only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. It's completely free content and everyone is welcome. Right, let's jump straight on into it. And I want to start the show off with some positivity because there's so much madness going on in the transfer window at the moment. There's so many news stories. There's so much rumours. There's so much linking to players. And I get it. People are going a bit mad with it all. But the positive story I've got for you today is about Joshua Zirkzee, because there was some rumours a couple of weeks ago that apparently Zirkzee wouldn't be back in time from his holiday to go on the preseason tour, and people were like, what the hell's going on? We've just signed this guy. He played 5 minutes at the Euros, but Simon Stone from the BBC has confirmed that Joshua Zirkzee is set to be included in Manchester United's squad for the preseason tour of America, which means, best case scenario, we will see Zirkzee play on Friday, I believe it is, or Saturday morning. So, yeah, 2 days until we get to see Joshua Zirkzee in a Man United shirt for the first time. Obviously, Lenny Yoro's going because he's already in training. But because Joshua Zirkzee was part of the Netherlands Euro squad, he went off on holiday. And as I said, there was some murmurs saying that apparently he might not even make it for the preseason tour because he's still on holiday, which I thought was stupid. But it's been confirmed as he will be on the plane. Joshua Zirkzee and Lenny Yoro, 2 signings on the preseason tour. Now, I know we need a CDM. I know we need another centre-back. I know we probably need a new right-back. But we just have to hope and pray that happens over the next couple of weeks, because literally we go on preseason tour. I think we fly today, apparently. So the players that are in Manchester, I think, will train today and then fly to LA for the first game against Arsenal. And we are then there till, I think, the 4th of August, which is the day after the Liverpool game, and then we fly back. And then literally less than a week later, we're playing Man City in the Community Shield. So the season starts very, very soon. Our first Premier League game is on the 16th of August, right? So football is close, very, very close to starting again. I know we've had a couple of friendlies, but it's not quite the same. Our first Premier League game is 3 weeks on Friday. That's crazy, isn't it? Like, the season is literally starting 3 weeks on Friday. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to hopefully have a positive season with you all on this channel. But anyway, let's move on to some transfer-related news. I wanted to bring some positivity into the show before we get into all the madness. And I've got a question for you this morning. I always like to try and interact with the chat and, get people's opinions. Should Manchester United sign Trevoh Chalobah this summer? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you're watching the video live, you can get involved in the poll, but I want you to let me know in the comment section. Should we sign Trevoh Chalobah? £25 million is apparently his valuation. I'm going to come back to that question in a minute. I'm going to allow you time to get your thoughts in, and I'll circle back in a couple of minutes. So let me know. Should United sign Trevoh Chalobah this summer? Okay, let's move on to something else though, and I will circle back to that a bit later on in the show. So I want to start the show by talking about Sofyan Amrabat. So this is coming out from multiple different outlets in Italy this morning, and they are reporting that apparently Sofyan Amrabat is desperate to return to Manchester United this summer, and apparently Fiorentina want the situation sorted out quickly, so are ready to do a deal with Manchester United. It says whether that be for a paid loan or a discounted transfer. So the situation with Amrabat is simple. He's got 1 year left of his contract. He's refusing to sign a new deal. Fiorentina effectively know that they either sell him now or they lose him in January. Because remember, when you run into your final year of your contract, you're able to sign a pre-contract agreement with a new club in the January. So effectively, they have literally less than 6 months to get any money for him. Otherwise, he's going to go for nothing. So they're in a pretty weak bargaining position here, Fiorentina. They probably hoped that we would trigger the £20 million release clause that was in his contract. But Ineos probably sat down and thought, why would we do that? There's a player with 6 months left of his deal who wants to leave. He's not signing a new contract. Why would we give them 20 million? And I think they've played it very well here. And I said this on a show previously. If this was under the Glazers, they would have just given them the 20 million euros, wouldn't they? Because they wouldn't have understood the situation or understood that they can negotiate or any of the rest of it. So I think, by making Amrabat and Fiorentina sweat, it puts us in a much better position to go and land him. I personally think there's absolutely no reason not to bring him in on a permanent deal. I know he's not world class. I know he's not going to take us from 8th to 1st, but as a squad player, as an option in that CDM role, I think he's good. And, when you've still got people like Christian Eriksen at the club, McTominay, Hannibal, Donny van der Beek's obviously gone, but you get the point. We have those level midfielders. Some of them are past their best. Some of them were never good enough, etc. Then we should be looking to move those players on. And if we did move on even 3 of those 4 players, if we moved on Hannibal, obviously Donny's gone, and say Eriksen left, you're going to need at least 2, maybe 3 more midfielders. So I think we've got an opportunity here. And from what I've heard and what I've seen so far in this window, Manchester United are looking for opportunities, right? Previous summers, they would spend all year, as we know, negotiating for one player. Frankie de Jong would be the name. They'd put that out to the press. We're going to sign Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong, Frankie de Jong, Frankie de Jong. And then 3 months later, you end up with no Frankie de Jong. And you're there scratching your head saying, we haven't got any of our targets. What the hell are we doing? And then they are like headless chickens and they spend 100 million on Anthony and, 70 million on Casemiro. That was the Frankie de Jong summer. So this summer, we're not doing that. We're looking for good deals on the market. We're looking for players who have not long left on their contract or players who want to leave the club. That's what we should be looking for, because trying to bring Frankie de Jong from Barcelona was just a recipe for disaster. He never wanted to come in the first place. But yeah, so as much as I understand people's frustrations with Amrabat, and I get that he's limited, and I get that he's not, he's not on the level of a Rodri or a Declan Rice, or I get that fully. But it is a squad game. And, when you need to see out a game and there's 15 minutes left and you need to defend, bringing on someone like Amrabat is a good option to have. Whereas bringing on McTominay with 15 minutes left, if you're trying to hold out a lead, is a recipe for disaster. We've seen it before, haven't we? He gives away penalties, he fouls people, he's not very good at those things. Whereas if you flip it on its head, if you've got 10 minutes left of a game and you need to score a goal, bringing on McTominay is great. So, we'll wait and see what happens with this one. But I would definitely like to see Amrabat join the club this summer. I've been told this morning that apparently Man United are hoping to pay as little as 10 million euros, which I think would be a bargain. That's about 7-8 million pounds. So it's a no-brainer for me. 27 years of age, obviously full Moroccan international. I think he played a massive part in us winning the FA Cup, and he had a good end to the season. But you can also let me know if you think Amrabat should come in the comment section below. Let's see what people are saying in the live chat this morning. Let's see who's here. Got lots of people here this morning. We've got over 750 of you. Welcome, everybody. Al says, why did we go for Fofana instead of Amrabat? Well, we'll talk about Fofana in a minute, but apparently Man United are going to go for 2 midfielders this summer, not 1. So Amrabat will be one of the options, and another option will either be Ugarte, Fofana, or Zubimendi. So, yeah. Stefan says, I still think we'll be nowhere near challenging for top 4. It all depends, mate. It depends. If Mason Mount has a good year, Rashford has a good year, Sancho has a good year, all of these players who didn't have any involvement last season, if they come in and hit the ground running, I think we can easily get top 4. But if they don't, then we won't. It's as simple as that, I think. But let's move on from that, though. Before I do that, everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that'd be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. We've got over 800 people in the room already. So if everyone who's watching right now likes the video, we will be more than 3/4 of the way there. So go and do that quickly. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live at 8:30, 1:30 and 6. It's completely free content. And if we hit 33k subscribers by the end of today's live stream, which I think we can do, I'm going to give out 10 memberships to the Daily Red Devil Members Club. So, if you are watching for the first time, make sure you subscribe. And let's try and hit 33k by the time this video finishes. So go and do that right now. I've dropped a link into the chat. Okay, let's move on to Mazraoui. And I think this is going to rub some people up the wrong way this morning. Okay, so brace yourselves for this. This is coming out from Paul Hurst, who is a very reliable journalist here in the UK. And he is reporting that apparently The reason why Manchester United and Erik ten Hag want to sign Mazraoui from Bayern Munich is because they believe it will help to unlock Antony. People are probably like, what? What the hell is this guy talking about? Well, Antony was at his best at Ajax when Mazraoui was the right back at Ajax. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you bring in the same player that he used to play with, the player he has a connection with. I get it. But I think most of this fan base are done with Antony. And does that mean we're building a team around Antony? Like, I don't really understand that. I like Mazraoui, and I think he'd be a good signing as a backup to Dalot. But to be bringing in a player to try and make Antony work, I just don't really understand the logic of that. Because I reckon if I did a poll now on whether Antony should be loaned out this summer, I imagine 95% of people would say yes. I'll do a poll in a minute, and I'll tell you what, I'll just do it now. Let's do it. Let's do this quickly. Okay, let's do a poll. So the question's going to be simple. Where is the poll? There he is. So it's going to be, should United loan out Antony this summer? So anybody watching back on repeat, you can obviously let me know in the comments. And anybody watching live, you can get involved in the poll. The question is simple. Should United loan out Antony this summer? And we'll wait and see what the results are. But in short, I would like to see Mazraoui at Manchester United. But if we're genuinely trying to sign him because we think that that will unlock Antony, that worries me. It does. Because I think a lot of us want to see Ahmad get game time, don't we? Like, Garnacho played on the right, didn't he? In the FA Cup final that we won. Rashford was on the left and Garnacho was on the right. Antony, for me, is so far down the pecking order now. Like, I would play Sancho over Antony. I would probably even play Pellistri over Antony. Like, my starting right wingers now, you can get involved in this as well, would be, I'd go Ahmad to start, then Garnacho, then Sancho, then Pellistri, and then Antony. So Antony would probably be my fifth choice right winger now. Which kind of says it all, doesn't it? And I think realistically the best thing for Antony, for himself and for Manchester United, would be a loan move. Let him go off. Hopefully he regains form. And then either we bring him back or we sell him in like a year or so. Like that's the best option, I think, for everybody. Because we can't be building a team around Antony. I'm sorry. Like, we can't. And people are saying we should just sell him. The problem is, right, we talk about this on the show every single day. If selling him was an option, then, yeah, great, we would sell him. But it's not an option. There's nobody who wants to buy Antony. Nobody. And if there was, we'd be talking like 30 million euros. And we paid 100 million for him 2 seasons ago. So that's the problem that we have here, you know? If someone was offering us 100 million euros, I would literally drive Antony there myself. And I can't even drive, so I'd give him a baccy on my bike. But we can only deal with what we've got in front of us. And the realistic option for Antony is a loan move. That's the only option he really has, you know? But I do understand that Erik ten Hag obviously feels obliged to make Antony work. You know, he was his big name signing. Yes, he didn't agree the transfer fee, but Erik ten Hag is always going to be tarnished with this 100 million euros Antony deal. You know, that's always going to be there. Whatever happens, even if Erik ten Hag wins the Premier League next season, there will still be journalists saying he spent 100 million on Antony. You know, you can already tell. Even if we win the Europa, the Premier League, the League Cup and the FA Cup next season and we play incredible football, there will still be people criticising Erik ten Hag for signing Antony. But that will happen, innit? So he needs to make it work. But the obvious issue we have is his wages. He's on huge wages. He's on about 200k a week. And apparently Man United have said that they'd be willing to loan him out as long as someone contributes 70k a week in wages towards it. So there you go. That's the situation there. Let's move over to Youssouf Fofana. Obviously, this story broke last night and I did a video on it, but I want to give you a bit of an update on where it is at. So this is coming out from Damasio. It came out late last night saying that apparently Manchester United have now entered the race to sign Youssouf Fofana from Monaco. Apparently, Monaco are asking for around 35 million euros. Now, just to be clear, he's seen as an alternative to Manuel Ugarte. It's not as well as Manuel Ugarte. It's either him or Manuel Ugarte. From what I've been told, Amrabat is going to come 100%. Well, obviously nothing's 100%, but we want 2 midfielders is what I've been told. Amrabat's one of them. And then the other one is going to be either Youssouf Fofana, Zubimendi, or Manuel Ugarte. So we'll wait and see what happens here. But in relation to Youssouf Fofana, he's got 1 year left of his deal. He is apparently refusing to sign a new contract. And again, like I said a couple of minutes ago, this is an opportunity on the market for Manchester United. It's a player who wants out of Monaco, a player who's a French international, a player who is the right age profile, 25 years of age, and someone that we know that Manchester United have been interested in for years. We've been talking about Youssouf Fofana for a very, very long time. And before this season, his price was 50, 60 million euros, you know? But obviously because of his contract situation and because of the fact that he's refusing to sign a new deal, it effectively allows us to go and take that opportunity and get a quality player for a cheaper price. I would like to see Youssouf Fofana. I'm feeling pretty done with Manuel Ugarte. We'll talk about him in a minute. But on my show yesterday, I said that my first option would be Zubimendi. My second option would be Fofana. And my third option would be Manuel Ugarte. At the moment, that's where I'm kind of at in my rank system. You can let me know, where is your rank? Let me know. So who's number 1, who's number 2, and who's number 3. Let me know in the comment section. But I'm staying with that because I think 70 million euros for Manuel Ugarte is just ridiculous. And apparently PSG are saying either you give us that money or you don't get him. That's where we're at with Manuel Ugarte. And it's the same with De Ligt, who we'll talk about in a minute. We're struggling to get deals over the line, not because of Ineos, but because of other clubs not willing to negotiate. And Ineos aren't making the mistakes of previous owners or previous people doing the footballing side. You know, the John Murters, the Richard Arnolds. They're not making those mistakes. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to overpay. So at this moment in time, Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United is not going to happen because they're still wanting 70 million euros, which is ridiculous. And as I just said to you, right, the Premier League season starts in 3 weeks. 3 weeks on Friday, we play our first game and we still don't have a CDM. And I'm not complaining about Ineos, by the way, here. That's not Ineos' fault. Ineos have tried to get Manuel Ugarte and PSG have effectively just taken us for a bunch of fools and dragged us along. We will have a CDM by then, I'm sure of it. But they've obviously spent a lot of time thinking they can get Manuel Ugarte for a reasonable price. And PSG are just like, no, we want 70 million. They want to make a profit on a player who they signed 1 year ago for 60 million euros. They're now asking for 70, even though he spent most of last season sat on the bench. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. If they were asking for the same money that they paid, I would still say that doesn't make sense, but fair play. But to be asking for more, it's just stupid. And with that in mind, I would be walking away from that deal. I would be heading over to Real Sociedad and saying, we'll trigger the release clause for Zubimendi. He's got a 50 million release clause. So just go and do that. It's an easy deal to do. You could get Zubimendi and Amrabat for the same price as Manuel Ugarte. And that's 2 midfielders then. And that would then allow you to let McTominay go. It would allow you to let Eriksen go. It would allow you to let, what's he called? Hannibal go, you know? So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. But at the moment, it is a bit frustrating. And again, that's not the fault of Ineos. I'm not by any means slagging off Ineos and saying it's their fault. It's not. Ineos are trying to get these deals over the line, but they've said to us that they're not going to overpay on players. And so far, they haven't done that, I don't think. Zirkzee for 34 million, I think, was under his market value. And I think Lenny Yoro for 42 million pounds, I think was a very fair price. If Real Madrid had got Lenny Yoro for 42 million pounds, people would be saying, what a signing, generational talent, it's going to be the next best centre-back in the world. But because it's United, you've got the rival fans saying, you paid 42 million for an 18-year-old from the French league. But they're obviously just hating, you know? So I'm happy with the prices we've paid so far, and I don't think we've overpaid at all to this point, personally. But maybe you disagree. Al says, I don't want Amrabat, he is McTominay level. I would agree that he is McTominay level, but he has different skill sets to McTominay. McTominay isn't a central defensive midfielder, whereas Amrabat is. So, you know, I get what your point is. Amrabat isn't world class. McTominay isn't world class. But you're not going to get a world class midfielder for the price that Amrabat's listed for, are you? You know, world class midfielders are going to be 50 to 100 million. And the point is that it's a squad game. We need to fill holes in our squad. Right, what else have we got people saying in the chat this morning? Let me have a sip of my tea. I always let my tea go cold. Wayne says, last season, Amrabat was played out of position up until the last 5 or 6 games where he was played in his preferred position. Only then did we see the player we watched playing for Morocco. Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think a lot of people criticise Amrabat, me included, when he was being played as a left-back or he was being played, somewhere else on the pitch where he's not used to. And it was pretty harsh, really. You know, he just joined the Premier League and he was playing as a left-back. Like, what do we really expect? But... So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with all of those deals. But at the moment, Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United, I think is off. I can't see it happening. I really can't. Not for 70 million euros. Andrew says, what's going on with Sancho to PSG? Sancho to PSG is definitely one to keep an eye on. And that might be a way of unlocking the Manuel Ugarte deal. At the moment, PSG have apparently spoke to Sancho's agent. Apparently he wants to go to the club. Apparently he's excited about the move, all the rest of it. But it's just, again, about negotiating a fee. Apparently, Man United are asking for a minimum of £40 million plus add-ons, which I think is perfectly reasonable. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. That's for Jadon Sancho, that is. But I think at the moment, PSG are just shopping around, aren't they? They're seeing what options are out there. They're obviously interested in that Desiree Doué guy. They're looking at João Neves. They're looking at Osimhen. Like, PSG are just playing, like, FIFA career mode at the moment. You know, they're putting in offers here and there. They're linked to so many people, PSG. So whether or not Jadon Sancho will end up at PSG remains to be seen. Apparently, he is going to go on the preseason tour, Jadon Sancho, which, if his deal was imminent leaving, he probably wouldn't be going on the preseason tour. I'll just say that. So, yeah, I think PSG to Sancho is one that could happen in the kind of next few weeks. But at the moment, it's probably been maybe over hyped, let's say, in the media, you know, that like saying it's close and saying that, you know, he's on the way there and all the rest of it. As it stands at the moment, PSG wants Sancho, Sancho wants PSG, and that's kind of effectively where it's at. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there. But we've got over 1,000 people in the room now, which is amazing. If everyone could please do me a small favour and smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's show. So if everybody who's watching the video now likes the video, we will hit that. And as I said a couple of minutes ago, we are on the road to 33k subscribers. If we hit that by the end of today's video, I'm going to give out 10 Daily Red Devil memberships. So if you are watching for the first time, please do subscribe. I've just dropped a link into the chat. Okay, let's move on to Matthijs de Ligt. So this story is coming out from Simon Stone, who reports for the BBC. He is reporting this morning that talks between Manchester United and Bayern Munich have failed to reach a positive conclusion for Matthijs de Ligt. The de Ligt situation is exactly the same as the Manuel Ugarte situation, right? Man United submit a bid. What was it? Two days ago? They submitted a bid of £29 million, including add-ons, for de Ligt, right? I think that's a fair price. He's been injured 20 or more games every season for the last 5 years. He's currently sitting on the bench and Eric Dyer is ahead of him. So Bayern Munich aren't really in a strong negotiating power here, because all you have to do is say, he's probably injury prone, and at the moment, Eric Dyer is ahead of him. £29 million sounds about right, doesn't it? Would you pay £29 million for Eric Dyer? No. And I know that's maybe a stupid comparison, but the fact of the matter is, Eric Dyer starts ahead of de Ligt at Bayern Munich, and they want to sell him because they already have agreed a deal with Bayern Leverkusen for Jonathan Tah. So they need our money in order to go and sign a new centre-back. But apparently, this is coming out from Fabrizio, that apparently Bayern Munich are insisting on £42 million guaranteed fee plus add-ons. So we've offered 29, including add-ons. I think it was 25 up front plus 4 in add-ons, right? And Bayern are asking for 42 up front. So they're asking for £17 million up front more than what we're offering, plus they want add-ons. So we're a long way away from where we want to be. And I don't think de Ligt's worth 42 million plus add-ons. I don't. If he was not injury prone, I think he'd be worth 60, 70 million. But I think he is injury prone. All you have to do is just type in de Ligt injury record, and you have a massive red flag already. Like last season, he missed 20 games. The season before that, he missed 20 games. The season before that, he missed 30 games. The season before that, the season 2019, he missed 10 games, right? 10 games in 2019, 20 in 2020, 30 in 21, like absolutely mad. No wonder Manchester United are looking at this situation saying, we don't want to pay more than £30 million, you know? Because it's a massive risk. You're bringing in somebody who could just be injured for half the season. And that's the track record that he has. And you always have to ask yourself, why would Bayern Munich want to sell him if they respected him that much and rated him that much, you know? Like, they wouldn't, would they? So it's the same situation as Manuel Ugarte. And I think as a result of that, Man United are now going to walk away and look at alternative targets. We'll talk about that in a minute. Because £42 million plus add-ons, I just don't think there's any value in that, really. We just paid 42 million for Lenny Yoro. Let me ask you this, right? What would you rather, Lenny Yoro for 42 million or De Ligt for 42 million? I imagine 90% of people watching this video would say Lenny Yoro for 42 million, right? Let me know if you disagree. But the point I'm trying to make here is one of them's 18, isn't injury prone, and is regarded as one of the best up-and-coming centre-backs in the world, whereas De Ligt was an exciting name like 5 years ago, but since then, he's just been injured constantly. He went to Juventus, it didn't work, they sold him. He's gone to Bayern Munich, he's now being benched by Eric Dyer, and now Bayern Munich are trying to do us for £42 million. Like, it's just a no from me, and I would just move on from that. Like 100%. I just don't think it's good value in the market. I can see the value, as I said, in Joshua Zirkzee and Lenny Yoro. I think they were both really good signings. I think they were both good value for money. And I think they've got resale value and all the rest of it. You know, it's a tick, 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 tick. Whereas De Ligt, I just don't think ticks any of the boxes for that amount of money. If you're getting him for 25, 30 million, great. Take a risk on it. If it works, brilliant. You look amazing. If it fails, you can just say, oh, it was only 25 million. It's not the end of the world. You can probably resell him for that in a few years' time, you know? But 42 million is a hell of a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I can't see Man United paying 42 million for De Ligt. I just can't. And apparently they're not going to. So as it stands at the moment, De Ligt and Manuel Ugarte, I don't think they're going to go ahead. From what I've seen, what I've read, what I've heard. Because PSG and Bayern Munich are just saying, either you give us the money you want, otherwise you don't get the player. The story here from, where is it? Let me get it up for you. I think it was from Fabrizio. Sorry, no, it was from Florian Plettenberg. And effectively, the reason why Bayern Munich are refusing to drop the price is, you know, like, there's a lot of politics at Bayern Munich. Apparently, the director of football at Bayern Munich feels that he has to prove to the rest of the board that he can get 42 million for De Ligt. So it's more of like an ego thing. We're not going to negotiate. No, we want 42 million. No. That's all we want, you know? So it's one of those where it's not worth pursuing, I don't think. But you can let me know what you think. Should Manchester United pay 42 million for De Ligt? I'll do a poll on it now, actually. Let's do that. So in relation to the last poll, 80% of people watching the video think we should loan out Anthony, and 20% think we shouldn't. Although a lot of people who said no were writing in the comments that we should sell him. So it's kind of, yeah. Let's do a poll on De Ligt, shall we? Should United buy De Ligt for 42? It'll be interesting to see what the results of this one is, based off everything I've just said. So the question is simple. Should Manchester United sign Matthijs de Ligt for £42 million? I want you to consider all of the things I've said. He's missed 20 games or more over the last 5 years. He's currently sat on the bench and Eric Dyer is ahead of him. Bayern Munich already have his replacement in Jonathan Tah. Bayern Munich want to sell him. He wants to come to Manchester United, etc., etc. You know? Let me know. If you want to flip that argument on its head, you could say, well, he was very good at Ajax. Erik ten Hag was the manager at Ajax. Maybe he'll, find that form again. That's the argument, and maybe in a couple of years' time, he's an £80 million centre-back. But I think that's a massive maybe, people thought that Antony coming to Manchester United would be great because of Erik ten Hag, and Antony's been terrible, you know? So, yeah, I would move away from De Ligt 100%. 100%. Michael says De Ligt has a horrible injury record. Why are United even looking at him? Well, the reason why United are looking at him, right, is because they thought there was an opportunity on the market. And that's what Man United are looking for this summer. They're looking for players with not very much time left on their contracts, or players who want to leave the current clubs, because they can see that as a potential to get players for cheaper than what their market value is. That's the general narrative there. So that's why they're looking at De Ligt, because they thought they could go in for him and get him for 25 million, 30 million. You know, that's what we've been offering. That's why we've gone in for him. But obviously now they're finding out that Bayern want 42 million plus. So, yeah, there isn't an opportunity there for Manchester United, I don't think. So, yeah, Florian Plettenberg confirms the same thing, that Bayern Munich have rejected an offer of 40 million euros, which is about 30 million pounds. And apparently they want 50 million minimum. That's euros plus add-ons. And it says that the De Ligt sale is an important internal issue. It says, in this regard, Max Ebril must and should remain firm. So it's effectively a politics thing here. They're not going to sell him for less than 42 million because the man who's responsible for selling him is worried about his job, is worried about, you know, the fans reacting badly to him selling a player for less than the value or whatever. That's the only reason. So, yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. I would be very, very surprised. And maybe De Ligt starts getting game time next season. Sonny says, you have been brainwashing your audience and now they are all confused. Okay, fair enough. This is the whole point of the channel. If you have a differing opinion on Antony, on De Ligt, let me know. But the question is simple. Do you think he's worth 42 million? Now, Manchester United clearly don't. They offered 25. So Man United think he's worth 17 million pounds less than what Bayern do. That kind of says it all, doesn't it? Did Manchester United go to Lille and offer 20 million for Lenny Yoro? No. They offered what they wanted because they thought that was a fair price. The same with Zirkzee. Did they go to Bologna and say, we know he has a 34 million release clause, we want to pay 10 because we think he's worth 10? No, they paid the money because that's his fair market value. That's the point. But yeah, I think we need to now start looking at alternative options, and I'm going to do that now. And I think this is probably going to upset some people, but it's all part of the show. Apparently, Manchester United are now turning their attentions to Trevoh Chalobah. He is apparently available this summer for 25 million. That's the asking price, by the way. So Man United could probably get him for less than that. Chelsea want 25 million. That doesn't mean they'll get 25 million. For some reason, I don't really know. I don't watch Chelsea enough to comment, but for some reason, Chelsea want rid of him. Okay, I've got two friends who support Chelsea, and I spoke to them about it last night. I said, like, why do you want rid of Trevoh Chalobah? Like, is he not very good? And one of them was like, he's really good. I don't know why we're trying to sell him. I don't understand it, blah, blah, blah. And the other one was like, oh, he's all right. Like, I wouldn't be that bothered if he left. So there was kind of a mixed feeling. And it's better to actually ask a fan of that club, because I could say, Trevoh Chalobah's amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't watch Chelsea every week. So it's always good to speak to your friends who support, that team. But the situation with Chalobah remains simple. They don't want him there anymore. He's got 4 years left of his contract. He's 25 years of age. He's not even gone on the preseason tour. Now, I don't think he's worth 25 million pounds, to be honest. I think if you could get him for 10, 15 million, that would probably be a fair deal. And I think would be, a good opportunity on the market. 25 is not his market value to me. You know? He's a backup player at Chelsea. So, in short, would I like to see Trevoh Chalobah at Manchester United? Yes, I think he'd be a good option because he can play at centre-back, he can play at right-back, and he can play as a central defensive midfielder. He's very, very versatile. He can play at left-sided centre-back and right-sided centre-back, which is good, you know? And obviously, the fact that he can play at CDM as well. I think he'd be a good squad player to have. But I would only be bringing him in if we could get him for like 10 million, you know? Like a cheap signing. 25 is way too much. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this one materialises. Apparently, Manchester United do have an interest and are in talks with Chelsea over a potential deal for Trevoh Chalobah. That's what's being reported this morning. The player has been left out of Chelsea's pre-season tour of America. He's on the way out. If we don't sign him, someone else will. It's just whether we think that we should go for him. That's the question I want you all to answer. Should Manchester United sign Trevoh Chalobah? Let me know in the comments section below. Let's see what people are saying. Somebody says that Chalobah is a good option because he can cover multiple positions. Yeah, I agree. What else are people saying today? Some people are saying, like, Mark says we should never do business with Chelsea again because of what they did with Mason Mount. Okay, that's fair enough. I get it. I think when we did the poll earlier on Trevoh Chalobah, there was a pretty mixed... I think 70% of people said they wanted Trevoh Chalobah. Somebody says Chalobah looks good from what I've seen. Yeah. I think if we can get him for 10 to 20 million euros, I'd be happy, you know? Because we do need squad depth. And his versatility would be very, very much appreciated, you know? So yeah, for me, I would go with it. I would. But we'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, at the moment... I mean, and then you've got Fabrizio Romano coming out today, this morning, saying that apparently Chelsea want 35 million. And he said that apparently 3 Premier League clubs are negotiating with Chelsea and have made initial contact. So, yeah. The manager of Chelsea's also spoken about the situation. He says, so he was asked, why has Trevoh Chalobah been left out of the tour? He says, it's always sad to leave a player out, but I'm here to make the tough decisions. He says, we have Wesley Fofana, Disasi, Tosin already there. Also, we have Ichimpong, who's doing fantastic. So, effectively, he's just surplus to requirements. Chelsea have got multiple options in the same position. And Trevoh Chalobah is not seen as, you know, someone that they want in the future. And I guess the other thing as well that we have to remember is, like, he's come through the youth academy. So, if Chelsea sell him, it will be 100% profit. That's probably partly why they want rid of him as well, because Chelsea are desperate for cash, because they spent like a 2 windows. So by selling Trevoh Chalobah, even if they get 20 million for him, that will go straight into their profit and sustainability. So it all does make sense. And I would take him as a backup, but emphasize the word backup. He's not good enough to start for Man United. Definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, let's move on from that though. Everyone, we've got over 1,000 people watching now. We're halfway to our likes target, so please go and like if you haven't already. Let's hit that by the end of today's video. And I will be gifting some memberships if we hit 33k by the end of today's video. We're pretty close, so I reckon we can do it. Go and subscribe now if you haven't already. And let's hit that next milestone of 33,000 subscribers. Okay, so we spoke about Anthony, obviously. Spoke about Mazraoui. A little bit of an update on Wan-Bissaka. Apparently, Manchester United are still in talks to sell Wan-Bissaka, but at the moment, they're waiting for an acceptable fee because apparently most teams want to pay about 10 million for him. He's got 1 year left of his contract. It seems low to me. I know most people were disgusted when we brought you this story yesterday, but when you factor in all of the situation around Wan-Bissaka, 1 year left of his deal, wants to leave the club, Man United don't want to give him a new contract. That's where they've got this 10 million pounds price from, which is low. I agree, it's very, very low, but it's just one of those ones, isn't it, where the same with Amrabat and Fiorentina. Like, Fiorentina know that if they don't sell Amrabat now, they'll lose him for nothing, and Man United know if we don't sell Wan-Bissaka now, we'll lose him for nothing. So it's one of those where, is 10 million better than nothing? Probably. And if you can then go and buy a Mazraoui for the same amount of money, it's probably a win-win situation, isn't it? So you have to look at the bigger picture. We can't just look at the headlines of Wan-Bissaka might leave for 10 million. You've got to look at who we can get as a replacement for the same amount of money. And obviously Mazraoui is the leading candidate, to come in. What is going on here? Go away. Oh, there's a bit of a quick one here. Apparently, David De Gea is going to announce his new club for anybody who cares about that. I don't know if anybody cares about that. Stuart says, I love the new logo. Yeah, I changed it up. Let me know what you guys think. It already was a logo on the channel. I just it was used for a different asset, and I just thought it looked a bit more cool than the current one. But I'm gonna wrap the video up here, guys. It feels like a good time to end today's show. We've gone through so much on the video. Let me read out the results of the last poll. I asked you, should Manchester United buy De Ligt for £42 million plus add-ons? 53% of people said no, and 47% of people said yes. So it's pretty level, pretty equal. And I get it. There is, a lot of people want De Ligt to come to Manchester United, and I understand the reasons why for that. But we'll wait. I don't know. I don't think it will happen personally, but yeah. I'm going to wrap the video up here. I'll be back at 1:30 with a lunchtime update. Please make sure to smash a like on the video before you go. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Thank you very much for spending this time with me, and I'll speak to you all on the next one. Bye for now.